morning, everybody. Welcome back to Meet the Retailers. This is episode 7 of our series, and we are excited to have you here with us this morning. As usual, we have 3 awesome retailer guests that are joining us, and I'll go ahead and introduce you to them now. We have Deshon Batts. Deshon is the Vice President of Real Estate Development for Buff City Soap. Deshon, give us a wave. There he is. We have Greg Eickholt. He is the Director of Real Estate Development for Torchy's Tacos. There he is. And we have Mark Johnson. He is the Director of Real Estate for the East Coast for the UPS Store. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the format of how we do this, I'm going to have several questions for our guests that will take about 40 to 45 minutes of the hour. And at the end of that 45 minutes, you will have an option to ask some questions using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. So if you have any questions for our guests, go ahead and enter them there, and we'll do our best to answer them for you at the end of my questions for our guests. All right, we are going to jump into this, and Deshon, we're going to start with you. Can you tell me about your role at the company and about the brand and history there? We'd love to hear more about Buff City Soap. I think there's probably lots of people who are unfamiliar with the brand, and it's exciting to get to learn about new concepts. So if you could share that with us, please.
Sure. So Buff City Soap is a natural skincare maintenance brand. So we cover a full spectrum of hard soaps and laundry detergents and things of that nature. And I recently joined the team in February in conjunction with the group that I work with called Glow Brands. And under that Glow Brands umbrella, we have several franchise concepts that we participate in, Buff City Soap being one, Suntan City being another, and Planet Fitness being one. What makes Buff City Soap so unique and so special is that we're going to be providing in-store services and what's the best word? Handmade crafts of soap within the store. So this is not like going to a store and buying soap off the shelf. We actually make the product in the store with natural raw materials, mostly plant-based.
So the customer is allowed to do that, or you're saying you do that on behalf of the customer?
Actually, so it's kind of pick your option. So we have several proprietary scents and soap bars and smells that we have pre-made for the guests and our clients. Or you can actually come into our store, design your own scent, mix it right there on the spot for your detergent or for your soap, and you will leave with it from the store. Right. So it's all raw product that you see us actually putting together in the store.
Very cool. That's interactive retail, right? That's correct. Some buzzwords right there for us. Thank you. Greg, I am a huge Torchy's Tacos fan. Like, anybody who's ever been to Torchy's Tacos is a fan. I can't imagine anyone not loving it. I lived in Austin for almost 4 years, so I was a big connoisseur of the brand. But for those people that don't know about Torchy's, could you just share a little bit of history on the brand and, of course, what your role is with the company, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the Director of Corporate Real Estate for Torchy's. I joined with Torchy's 2 months ago, so on March 18th, which was probably the worst time possible to join the restaurant group. But it's my dream company. It's a great company to work for. We were founded in 2006 by Mike Ripka. We started in a trailer in Austin, just a food truck, and our mission has always been to serve the best damn tacos. 2009, our first freestanding store. Since then, we've grown to 76 stores, and our concept is basically we just make great tacos, amazing queso. We do everything in store. So like Buff City Soaps, we're all about the ingredients. Everything is handmade, and it's at a great price point, and we've been very successful growing to date, and we hope to continue that success in the future.
Awesome, thank you. I know that there were some people on LinkedIn that commented specifically on the queso. which I can vouch for. Do you have, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
do you have any plans to eventually franchise? Or are you going to stick with corporate?
We're going to stick with corporate development. We have no plans to franchise right now. We feel like it gives us the best control over our product, and we're at a point where we don't really feel the need to franchise. We may look at it in the future, but there's nothing in our immediate plans.
Gotcha. Well, I'm personally disappointed to hear that. I was going to tell you, you've got a Florida franchisee if you want one. Okay. Mark, I'll jump over to you. I think we all know the UPS store brand, been around for a long time, but nonetheless, if you can share the history of the company and your role at the UPS store, please.
Sure. And Stacey, thanks for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So I'll go over a quick history lesson. The brand was originally mailboxes, etc., formed about 1980. In 2001, UPS itself acquired mailboxes, etc. And then in 2003, the two companies introduced the UPS store brand. So back in 1994, I myself had a small ad agency. I was in marketing. And one of my clients was, in fact, a mailbox, etc. store in New Hampshire. I was working on a marketing campaign back then to increase their photocopy business. I was behind the counter a little bit too to help as the campaign was successful and was working, and we were kind of overrun with customers. However, about that time also, the franchisee's wife and her software company picked up a Department of Defense contract for something called virus protection. He walked in one day, handed me the keys to the space, and I never saw him again. Just like that, I was the franchise operator. So in 1996, I moved to State College, Pennsylvania. And in 2003, I was running two UPS stores for a local franchise, one in State College and one in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. After the rebranding, there was an opening for a hands-on store support person for stores within a 5-hour drive radius. And I did that for a couple of years. Then in 2005, there was a newly created real estate position to help franchisees find new locations. We were doing hundreds of new UPS stores at that time. Nowadays, I wear quite a few hats for the UPS store. My primary function is to support the existing network of franchisees with real estate related functions, as well as to continue with new store development by way of escorting our new franchise candidates through the market and site selection process with our excellent broker support and eventual handoff to our store design, construction, and operations team. In our existing network, I also support, review, and negotiate new leases, lease assignments, relocation reviews, lease renewals, et cetera, et cetera. And as some of you may know on this broadcast, I also attend quite a few ICSC events.
You're busy.
Yes, ma'am.
You indeed wear a lot of hats. I'm going to stick with you. If you could just share, I'm just curious, how many existing units there are today?
Right now we have about 4,800 and growing.
Wow. And that's all within the US? Or is that?
We have another couple 300 in Canada as well,
Gotcha.
additionally.
And are there any corporate stores?
We don't have any corporate stores
100%
whatsoever.
franchise.
Yeah,
Okay.
the UPS store is 100% franchise operated. I manage development in various markets up and down the East Coast, from the outer boroughs of New York, Richmond, Charlotte, Atlanta, parts of Florida. Additionally, I provide store support, provide like lease support and advice to our various area franchisees who own the development rights to other East Coast markets.
Wow.
We could grow about 120 to 130 new stores a year, which we've been fairly successful to date. And the UPS store continues to grow, where the markets themselves are naturally expanding. And we also keep our eye on existing infill location markets, as well as new and existing franchise candidates who come into view, who are approved in advance for development.
Gotcha. Wow. I guess, I mean, I didn't realize you had that many units. That's quite a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, we're very, very proud of it. Thank you.
Yeah, you like I said, you've been busy. Greg, I'm going to jump back to you regarding, let's talk about, I know you touched on how many units you have. So I'm sorry, did you say you have 76? Did I hear that? How many
We have
units?
76, yes.
Okay, so you've got 76 existing units, and
Mhm.
is that primarily, what markets are those units primarily? And obviously, I know you started in Texas.
Yeah.
Where are those 76 units?
Most of those units are in Texas. We have 4 in Oklahoma, about 10 to 12 in Colorado, and we just opened our first one in Louisiana. We also have 2 in Arkansas. And then we have 2 more that are opening in Louisiana in the next month or so, we hope,
Yeah.
and 1 in Kansas City. And those are some of the markets that we're focused on expanding. We had in our pipeline for this year, we were originally targeted to do 21 to 25. Obviously that's been pushed back. So we're probably just going to be at 8 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And we should be pushing back. We're going to push back all of our openings from that have not already opened or that we haven't gotten the CFO on. We're going to push all those back to 2021.
Gotcha.
And we hope to restart our pipeline late 21, early 22.
Thank you. So a question for you. So it sounds like your plan is, to grow out from Texas. Is that a fair statement? So you would not make a leap to Florida. You see where I'm going. I'm trying to get you to Florida. I moved, so therefore you have to follow me.
Florida's a heck of a market. It's someplace we definitely want to be in eventually. Our growth is predicated on finding really good operators. So we've actually targeted operators in Richmond, Virginia, and Columbus as our next areas of growth. So we'll be radiating out from those markets. So Columbus and Richmond are going to be the anchors, but we're hoping to grow in Charlotte, Raleigh, Atlanta, Nashville, DC. DC would probably be one we're looking at, but DC, as everyone knows, is a really difficult market.
Right.
Indianapolis, Columbus, Louisville, and St. Louis are the other areas we're targeting.
Wow, that's great. So those folks that aren't like right in Texas have hope. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. Deshon, I'm going to jump back to you. What are your guys' plans for number of units that you would like to open, say, in the next 18 months?
So for our group specifically, we would love to have inked 15 to 18 more units, either in contract or opening before 2021.
Wow, that's great. And forgive me. So I noticed when I pulled up your locations, you are, is it fair to say, primarily south, although you've got a little bit up in the Midwest, I think?
So we have 38 locations nationwide, and they're kind of scattered at the moment, but most are in the South, Tennessee Belt area. We're going to be moving towards Kentucky. Missouri has caught our eye specifically. That's going to be our point of focus for our next phase of growth. But yes, the South seems to be where we make our bread and butter and soaps.
And soaps. And so are you like Greg, expanding like from that core centric and just expanding out from there, or are there other markets that you're focused on growing?
So on our horizon, we actually have some locations in Texas. Missouri is a market that we're looking at. Arkansas, West Virginia, Indiana, Tennessee. We're going to double back and find pockets there. But for us, the map is open in terms of where we'd like to go in the next year, 2 year, and 5 years. We plan to, if we can, have organic growth during this process, and under the current economic climates, we will try to do our best to have staged growth that meets our original timetables.
Gotcha. Thank you. And so you mentioned that I think you said between 12 and 18 units you wanted to grow by. Was that the number prior to COVID, or has that been adjusted?
That number has actually been adjusted. We were blessed that we had put in a lot of groundwork prior to March 18th. So a lot of our deals that were kind of in limbo, we were able to work on those through this down period. So we're actually ahead of pace for 2020. So we feel now is now, and we're going to try to push into 2021 with some, again, looking at the market and seeing how it goes. And we're anticipating there'll be some retail turnover and opportunity. We see that as opportunity to maybe get into infill spaces where the market may have been very tight, might open up and give us opportunity to present our product, our concept, and our value to the landlords and their centers.
Gotcha. I think that again, while there's a lot of people that are unfortunately are not going to survive, those that have and will are, definitely see this as an opportunistic time. So that's good to hear. Mark, I'm going to come back to you. We're going to talk a little bit about all of our favorite subjects, that being COVID-19. I just want to talk, I think Mark is the only one that was deemed an essential use. The other two, you guys both had to, you can just give a nod. You guys both had to close otherwise, I assume. No, you didn't. Okay, well, we're going to come back. We're going to jump back to you, Deshon. But Mark, and actually this is true for all three of you. We'll start with Mark and we'll go down the line. But just trying to understand, I know every week guests and participants like to know what changes have been made as a result of COVID, whether that's even changing your store format going forward, whether that's reduction in size or layout or services, etc. So Mark, I know I've been into a UPS here locally since all these stay-at-home orders were in place, but can you share just some of the procedures or things that have been implemented at the UPS stores in response to COVID?
So as you probably may have seen, we have a lot of, I would guess, interference pieces put in place, whether it's putting a 24 cube in front of the counter to keep people back a ways, whether it's putting an acrylic shield down in front of the behind the counter to protect the direct path. We've put a lot of systems in place for the franchisees, as well as setting up "We're open" banners and internal messaging and marketing to make sure everyone understands that we are open, we are an essential business. Resuming our normalcy really is going to continue to include monitoring and maintaining the health and safety protocols, to keep everyone safe, both customers and associates, and also continuing to supply and source out sanitizer, face masks, counter shields, and we'll be developing new products and services and programs to meet the needs of these customers in the climate. But overall, right now, I don't want to call it business as usual because it's business as unusual for us. But we're very proud of our franchisees' adaptation to the challenges that they face on a one-off basis, on a daily situations that they encounter, and we're doing the best we can right now. And I'm really proud of them.
Yeah, I noticed, actually, I think about it, there's two different locations pretty close to where I live. And just depending upon, where I'm going that day is which one I go to. Is one of your policies, and I don't know if this was just maybe what these patrons were doing, but I noticed when I went by that there were people waiting outside. Are you limiting the number of people that are actually going into the UPS, or like they have to wait outside or was that a patron doing that on their own?
Yeah, so I think they're taking the lead from the local governmental recommendations, whether it's county, city, or state, about occupancy and trying to manage that people don't get too close to one another. It's difficult because there's always urgency. We are a quick in, quick out kind of service, but the lines move fairly quickly. We're staffed up, we're ready to go, and we're just going to be very careful and follow policy and procedure as much as the market and the protocols in that particular region will allow.
Gotcha. So you don't,
Thank you.
other than the processes that you've already put in place, from the acrylic barriers or spacing or things like that, you don't anticipate any changes beyond that in terms of, you know, the format of your store. And we'll talk about your site criteria in just a little bit, but you don't anticipate any changes in that regard.
Not right now. Now the model's been very successful throughout this unfortunate situation, this crisis. So we're just going to try to fine tune it as much as possible, provide advice and best practices out to the franchisees as they become visible in the network from other stores as well. And again, like for a lot of us, it's all just one day at a time.
Right, indeed. Okay, Greg, let's talk about Torchy's and COVID. So I guess the first thing is, when this started to happen and you were able to, and you guys were still operating, did you make any changes then that when are you, I guess, well, in Texas, you're back open now, correct?
Our dining rooms are open in about 50 of our units. So we're today is at 50%, or I'm sorry, 50% capacity of the dining rooms. We can be full in our patios, and we can have customers also sit at the bar. But the rules are that you have to be 6 feet apart. So on the patio, that means reduction in capacity. In the dining room, if you're 6 feet apart, you're probably going to reduce your capacity, depending on the store, anywhere from 25 to 50%, regardless. So
because normally they're all packed in there like sardines, because you guys are so good. Usually every table's taken, you're waiting for one.
Yeah.
So do you think that going forward, your site criteria do you think that going forward you'll have larger patios in anticipation of whatever this coming back again, or any changes in that regard?
That's a good question. Patios have been something that we always like to have. And going forward, I think it's smart to say that we want to have as large of a patio as we can, not just from a government perspective, but also from a customer perspective. I think people feel safer outside. There's a lot of evidence that the risk of transmission is a lot less when you're outside. So I think that definitely helps. Our biggest change, though, is we're going to start looking at pickup windows as part of our layout. We're probably going to be looking more for freestanding than we have in the past. We've traditionally steered away from freestanding, but it's a lot easier to get a pickup window, get the stack that you need with a freestanding. And in every one of our stores, we're going to have more of a focus on carryout and delivery. So we'll be looking for separate entrances. We'll be looking for dedicated parks for contactless carryout, and we'll probably have to change the way that our store is laid out to make it easier to get from the kitchen to the curb.
Gotcha. Okay, I have other questions on that, but I'm gonna save that for the site criteria portion of this. Deshon, let's talk about you. I'm surprised to hear that you were deemed an essential business. I guess, is that partly because of the laundry? I guess soap. We all need soap. So
exactly, you nailed it on the head. You nailed it on the head. We were fortunate enough to be in an industry during a time of crisis that required hygiene products, specifically, as you mentioned, soap. And we also midstream added foaming soaps, so pump soaps. So during the COVID-19 crisis, which we're currently still in, we were able to maintain our online presence, which we have an online ordering process, and we were able to open up curbside dispensary of our soaps and our hygiene products. Not to mention, I don't want to make it sound like it was business as usual. It definitely was not. As Mark mentioned, it was business unusual. But what we focused on was partnering with the communities, with the local leaders in the localities, and showing them and telling why our business needed to be essential. And for the most part, they understood that. And during that time period and this time period, we've actually given thousands and thousands of bars of soap away to first responders and our healthcare frontline individuals, just so that's one extra layer of of comfort that they don't have to worry about fighting the general public.
And it smells better than Dial, right?
It smells better than Dial, and it doesn't make you itch. So
Yeah.
it's a really good product.
No offense to Dial. If you guys are anybody's out there that's a Dial lover, I'm sorry. You know, I'm more of a lavender girl. I apologize.
Sorry, I'm not.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Thank you. So I guess going forward, you guys are now are you saying you're fully open? You're not. It's not just curbside pickup. Is that correct?
So we allowed our operators to make the ultimate end-all decision on whether they wanted to maintain an open status at their locations, depending on how stringent their local government's ruling was. But our floor plans are relatively open, and our employees don't really need to interact with the client unless it's, a point of sale or for explaining, product A, Y, and Z versus B. We make it really transparent about our ingredients that are in the products, and clients can look online, see what they want, order it, and pick it up at the store, call it in, and we could have it already boxed up for their use.
So I'm curious,
And
prior
going
to
forward,
COVID, sorry, go ahead. There's a delay, so I apologize.
Going forward, yeah. Oh, no problem. Going forward, we do see the online and the on-time pickup process of soap. We see that as a viable option at our locations, but we don't necessarily plan on curtailing an entire portion of our business towards, this scenario.
Gotcha. So, I mean, probably a stupid question, but so prior to COVID, how much would you say how much has your online business changed? Do you know offhand, pre-COVID versus?
I do not know that offhand, but I will venture to say that it's full swing tilt. Generally we're in person at the stores that are open, in person, point of sale, madhouse full of individuals, moms, daughters, dads trying to get gifts for their wives and mothers. It's a madhouse.
On Christmas Eve, I'm sure. The dads are buying the gifts on Christmas Eve. We know what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we were sad that Mother's Day, fell within this because we were really anticipating that. Yeah. But we had a really good online presence with Mother's Day, so we were able to chug along. So
gotcha. All right, thank you. All right, guys, we're going to jump into site criteria. I think everybody's probably curious as to what each of your brands looks for. So Mark, I'll go back to you. What are the, say, main attributes that make up a good UPS store location?
Sure. In general, the UPS store prefers to place our locations grocery anchored centers and strip centers with high visibility. 1,000 to 2,000 square feet, roughly, depending on a lot of variables. Easy parking, maybe 15 to 25-foot frontage, rear door deliveries. That's pretty much it. Our plan can fit into a lot of different spaces.
What about demographics? What do you look for in terms of population and incomes in, say, a 5 mile?
We really don't have that kind of specification.
I guess not. I guess everybody uses mail services, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna try to work in markets where basically we've done well before that fit kind of the criteria. But as you can see, with 4,800 stores, most of our locations are really where we need to be when people make a decision to use our services.
So you don't have like a minimum population requirement?
No, because we have different models.
Mm-hmm.
We do have like even a small store model, a store in a store that we can put inside of pharmacies or military base, PX, or lobby of a hotel or something like that. And we also have a rural model, which is a dialed down version of our traditional model that has less requirements as far as signage and internal equipment and furniture and fixtures, etc.
Gotcha. Wow. You guys can go anywhere. That is a unique situation that you're in. Probably makes it a little easier to find those sites. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Greg, we're jumping back to you to learn more about Torchy's site requirements in terms of, all the deals, the size, co-tenancy, types of shopping centers you're looking for. Can you tell us more about that, please?
Sure, sure. Our minimum size is going to be 3,500 square feet. For us, the sweet spot is about 4,000. We've gone with a wide range of sizes in the past. We range from 1,500 to about 9,000 square feet, but we'd like to keep it more focused on that 4,000 square foot. We need plenty of parking. We prefer anchored centers with end caps or freestanding. If it's going to be freestanding, we definitely prefer the owner to do the build out for us. Same with an end cap, of course, or it be an existing space.
So
As
turnkey,
far
you're
as
saying?
oh, I'm sorry.
When you say do the build out, you want it turnkey.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we, as far as anchors go, grocery anchored centers are always great. We love H-E-B. We love Whole Foods. We're very familiar with those brands, of course, being from Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Trader Joe's, Costco seem to be very good anchors for us as well. As far as what we're looking for, as far as the sites themselves, I think like everyone else, we want really great access, really great visibility, high traffic intersection, like to see 20 to 30,000 cars a day on there. But for us, I think what's even more important is the demographics. We do prefer density, so we would like 40,000 plus within 2 miles. I think surprisingly enough, I think we're more of a suburban brand than an urban brand. So kind of those first ring and second ring suburbs, places like Plano, Allen, in the Metroplex are areas that we do very well in. And then the demos themselves, we have one of the great things about Torchy's is we have a very wide range of appeal. So I'd say our sweet spot is median income of about 75,000 to 200,000. Families we do very, very well with. And I think the demo types that we do great with, it's kind of the hipster family, for lack of a better phrase.
Converse and skateboards, huh?
Exactly. If the dad likes IPA and the mom likes fitness fashion, that's a really great area for us.
Gotcha.
So the people that go to Trader Joe's.
Right. Got it. Okay, so I wanted to go back to, you made the comment, it's interesting because when I said to you I wanted to come back to something, since then, one of the participants is asking the same question. So we're going to cover one of those, but it was my question too. So it's okay. We can cheat. So you mentioned that you thought you were going to add pickup windows. When I heard pickup window, I envisioned walk-up pickup windows. Are you referring to a drive-through? Or are you talking a traditional?
We're referring to a drive-through. So the model we're looking at is the Chipotle or the Cava model,
Gotcha.
where you don't have a menu board, you don't have an order point necessarily. You have people can order ahead on the app, or they can call ahead and then come up and drive up and pick up their food.
So it doesn't require as much complexity with stacking as a traditional drive-through would. Right?
That's correct. Yeah. What we've heard back from cities is that instead of a traditional 8 or 9 car stack, you would need about a 4 car stack, which is much more doable.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't yet decided if we want to go exclusive with that. So it's something we're still testing out. And we're also looking at contactless carryout. So the curbside carryout could serve the same purpose for us. And from what I'm hearing in the industry, a lot of people are going towards that carryout model. So a lot of our competition that I've heard from is going towards that. So it could be a land rush as well.
We've heard it a lot just on this series, certainly. Are you looking at going about like modifying existing units to try where you can to add those pickup windows? Because
we
are
are
a lot of
but
end caps. Is there any way to?
It's difficult to do on an end cap, especially when it's already built out, because oftentimes you have the patio there, you have sidewalks, you could have landscaping. So that's really difficult to tear out. We do have one carryout, or I should say drive-through in Austin. So we're getting a lot of learnings from that. The problem we run into is our ticket time is about 8 minutes. Since we do everything by hand, It's not like, say McDonald's, where it's a lot of batch processing.
Right. Yeah, you're definitely not McDonald's. You're worth the wait though.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's very important to us we want to keep our identity. We don't want to compromise on that at all. So we're trying to see how the drive-through would actually fit into that.
Gotcha. Test mode.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Deshon. Hi again. Can you please tell me about what a Buff City soap location looks like, what your requirements are?
So we typically look for units around 1,800 to 2,500 square feet. We can go up as large as 3,000, 3,500 square feet, depending on price per square foot. We love a 25-foot frontage on the smaller units, and 1.5 to double that as we go up towards that 2,500 to 3,000 square foot. Having the window space and that frontage is really important for us. So clients walking about the center can look in and see the action and see our employees making the soap. Envision, if you've been down south or if you live in the south, envision a fudgery or a bakery where you walk in and you see the raw product being processed, being made. That's the kind of experience that our clients should anticipate. We fit well in just about any typical real estate location. We can do standalone, we can do inline with retail strip center, we can do in cap, which is really nice. And we've also had success in small downtown. So there's been a resurgence of this Americana, this park and walk, like the Heights in Arkansas, where you park and walk and you shop and you go to the mom and pop shops. We fit really well into those niche markets. And like Greg mentioned, we like the hipsters too. We like the trendy individuals who like natural products, who like hemp products, who don't want animal fat in their stuff. hey, they don't want tallow. So we can fit in just about any traditional real estate market. We do like to see traffic counts over 15,000. We do like to see a population within say a 5-minute to 7-minute sweep of our units of 20,000 or more. But we've also had measured success in small towns like Henderson, Tennessee, where we drop it in the middle of a small town and it absolutely does well for us. So we don't stray away from those markets per se, but we do like to see those national co-tenancies, co-tenants within vicinity like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Target, you name it, in that whole spectrum. And we also do well if there's not necessarily that tier A co-tenant, maybe like a tier B, or what would be a locality tier B, like a salon or complementary type businesses.
Very interesting. So I was picturing you in like a lifestyle project, but I can certainly see, like when you were describing the Americana on Main Street, I was picturing, or the park and walk, I was kind of picturing like the Savannah, Georgia, where all those stores are along that main road. Yes. It's fascinating. Thank you. So I do want to ask you, do you have brokers that work for you, Deshon, or how do you handle, site submittal?
So typically we have a regional or state-by-state brokers. We work with one broker in each state. So in Tennessee, I have a broker that I work with. In Missouri, I'll have a broker I work with, and so on and so forth. And we rely heavily on our broker network to weed through all the locations and present to me typically 4 or 5 at a time that we think have potential. And from that point, I generally look through the demographics as much as I can on my side, but I typically make a site visit. I make multiple site visits with the broker to determine, A versus B versus C, and what we want to move on today, tomorrow, or next week.
Gotcha. And thank you. So I always ask
to better answer your question. Yeah, to better answer your question, yes, I work typically with brokers I myself focus on Kentucky and Indiana because they're my backyard, and work with the real estate agents that I've developed relationships over the years in my real estate practice.
Gotcha. Real quick, just so if somebody has a site for you, and we will circulate your guys' contact information on those forms that you guys provided for us. Thank you for that. So everybody on the call, we will follow up with an email where we will share all three of our guests' site criteria and contact information. So if somebody has a site for you, Deshon, do you prefer they go to your broker? Do you want them to go to you? Do you want them to go to both? Everybody has a different answer to this. So what's your preference?
If it's in a location, if it's in a state like Tennessee, Missouri, West Virginia, Kentucky, Louisville, I don't mind it coming to me because I'm still going to funnel it right back to our broker. But if someone, wants to get something on the table in front of me, I'm fine with them emailing that listing to me. But in those areas like Missouri, I have established brokers. I have an established broker. Tennessee, I have established broker. And Arkansas, I have an established broker. And when you share that information, getting that information to them immediately helps me because they funnel that information. They weed through what they think is best for our group, and we can move on it strategically pretty quickly.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Both.
It's funny, every week it's the response, like I said, is different. So I always ask because I think people in the audience want to know, do you want me to, like, quote unquote, bother you with the site, or should I send it to the broker? And again, everybody kind of has a different process. So thank you for explaining that. Mark, I'm going to go to you. We have a question from the audience, but it kind of ties into what we're talking about. So I'll go ahead and ask it now. And that is, does corporate funnel deals on behalf of franchisees? Are franchisees responsible, or are franchisees responsible for hiring their own broker, identifying a site, and then sending it up the chain through corporate? Or how does the site selection process work for the UPS store?
Boy, I'd love to answer that with a really simple answer, but unfortunately there isn't. Each one of our regional area developers in their own major markets may handle it differently. The most of them do have brokers, and they do utilize them. We're really loyal to our trained brokers, many of whom have been with us for a long time. For myself, for example, I have a little bit of FOMO, so I don't mind kind of getting a lot of emails and looking them over, and I may forward it to my broker. I maintain my relationship with brokers very strongly. I do lean on them for things other than just site selection. They may need to help me with a market rate or understanding a situation or intel. So the best way really for us is to go to our website, where we've kind of warehoused all this information, this contact information, which is the upstorefranchise.com, all one word. From there, there's a couple of drop downs where you can see either by county or city and state who is the proper contact person. I don't mind being copied in on these emails. It's a new shiny object for me, so I'm easily distracted, and I'll take a quick look at it. But I want to make sure, part of my job really is to act as a liaison or a concierge to the correct contact person, because I want to make sure that everyone understands, especially if I look at it and there's an easy street address where I can pick up and transpose into my mapping system here, and I can say, oh yeah, that's right near a Target. Now let me get this to the area and let me connect the particular broker or landlord to our contact person and have them kind of take over the relationship from there.
Gotcha. So for our audience, if they have a site on the East Coast, they are allowed to send it to you because you like to see shiny objects. Otherwise, they can go onto the website.
Right. Who doesn't?
Yeah. I like shiny objects too.
Either way is fine. Yeah, I mean, I really could delete and unsubscribe a lot more than I could, but it really does help me keep in touch with what's going on in each one of these marketplaces, and I just like to stay abreast of the updates.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Corey, go back to you.
Yeah, and
what's your answer on this?
Oh, of course. Yeah, for us, our broker relationships are very important. We consider them to be our front line. in talking to developers or talking to landlords. So we do have exclusive relationships in each of our markets. So we have a broker for Houston, we have one for Dallas, who happens to be our master broker as well. So she handles a lot of our broker relationships. My preference is that our sites do go to, any sites that are submitted do go to our brokers. And frankly, I've only been on board for 2 months, so I don't have the institutional memory that these guys have. So they know what's been submitted. They know where we've been looking in the past. And I think that's a really great screening tool that I can use. And I don't mind sites being submitted to me, but just with the knowledge that if a site is submitted in an area that is covered by a broker, I'll send it to that broker right away to get their thoughts.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think the consistent message has been, we've had 21 guests on so far, and only one has said that they don't use brokers. So I don't know how they do it.
That's a brave thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Greg, I'll stick with you. We've got a question from the audience, and that is, I think you're going to break her heart. I think I know the answer. She says, when is Torchy's coming to California?
Whew. California is, it's an area that I think we're going to have to be in eventually. There's so many issues with going into California, but there's also so much opportunity there. I've done a lot of work in California, so I love the markets there. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us. I think we'll do very well there, but we want to make sure we get there in organic fashion. Getting to California, making a rush to California can be a mistake sometimes if you're not ready. So I would say at the earliest, we're probably going to be there 24 or 25.
Gotcha. Okay.
And things could always change, of course, but
okay, Leanne,
24, 25.
We got the question for you. You only have like 3 or 4 years to wait until he gets to you. So, okay, Deshon, I'll just jump back to you real quick. This is the last question I have personally, and then I'll ask you guys a couple more questions from our audience, and then we'll wrap up. What sets your brand apart from your competition? Deshon. Okay, there you go.
Okay, I'm unmuted. There we go. So what really sets our brand apart from our competition is that it's a natural product that's handcrafted here in the United States. So our products will not contain any tallows, any harsh detergents, any parabens, which are chemically modified preservatives that you find in foods and cosmetics, ironically. No formaldehydes. So when our clients walk into the store and they want to acquire our product, say like our body butters, it says oatmeal and honey. Well, you can take a guess what's in this. It's oatmeal and honey. There's olive oil and shea butter. So it's very transparent. Also, when our clients walk into our stores and they buy our products, what they see, what they smell, and what they touch is what they get. And we educate our consumers on those products. Unlike other, competitors in the market like Lush and to some degree, some Ulta, anyone that carries those cosmetic or skincare products typically are laced with all types of chemicals. Well, we're taking a grassroots natural approach. You'll see poppy seeds in our locations. You'll see lemon zest. You'll see petals of roses, dry roses. You will see hemp being used in the products. So we think we offer not only an experience and a destination, but an education on a product that is going to be here, we think, for the long term. And I think that's what sets us apart from our competitors.
Thank you. I do want to clarify, we have Jim in the audience. You stated that you were looking for 20,000 people in 5 to 7 mile drive. I assume you're referring to population. You want to clarify population versus household. I assume population.
Yes, correct. Population.
And I actually had a follow-up question on that too. So your customer, your typical customer, what is their like median income?
So we can drop a dot if our clients are making 50,000 and up median, we're good to go. So that allows us to enter a lot of markets. Again, if we're going to enter like I call it a micro market, like a small town, we want to make sure that that town can support the business and that they have established some type of business area, or corridor, or flow, or a downtown market that we can be centralized in. But 55,000 all the way up to, the sky's the limit. We think our product appeals to individuals in all those categories and those demographics.
Gotcha. Thank you. Mark, I'm going to come to you. What sets apart the UPS store from other mail services? I have one idea, but I want to see if you're going to throw that out there.
Well, it's our franchisees for sure, 1, 2, and 3. The UPS store franchisees they have skin in the game to make their business successful. They're not just corporate stores without local engagement in the market. Our owners may very well even live near where they own their stores. They're part of their local communities. They're in the chamber. They're members of their churches. They're involved in local causes. They know the customers by name. Maybe their kids go to school together. They really do care about the services that we provide. And as you know, we provide quite a few services.
So is it safe to say that the barrier of entry for a UPS franchisee might be higher than your competitors? Like, do you guys qualify them a little more stringently, would you say?
We're going to always look to include everyone we can in the brand. We have a very wide demographic base of franchise owners. They may own one store, they may own maybe 5 or 6. Not many of our franchisees own more than that. As a low cost of entry, for compared to a lot of other franchises which may have a food component to it that requires additional equipment and staffing and stuff, we actually consider ourselves very available.
Gotcha. What I was going to say, what sets you apart, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the ability to return Amazon products through you using the, like, basically scan and go or whatever. I don't know what you technically call it. Is that right? Is that what it's called?
Well, I call it retopsis. You've heard of Bopis. We call it retopsis. So buy online, pick or return to the UPS store.
Right, because your competitors can't do that. And I know because I had a UPS return. I mean, I had an Amazon return that I had selected the option of printing the label, and I was down by my mom's, and she has, I don't know, it's like a local place. And I just walked in there because they had the UPS symbol in the window, and they said, no, you have to go to a UPS store in order to do that. So in my mind, at least, that sets you guys apart.
Thank you. Yeah, we've set up quite a few different corporate relationships with a lot of different return programs that some of these folks on the broadcast may also be aware of as well, whether it's a cable box or a vacuum cleaner or all kinds of different products that we actually serve as a conveyor, if you will, of these items back and forth to the manufacturer and back to the consumer.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good stuff. All right, Greg, I'm going to bounce back to you. What sets you apart from your competitor?
Well, 3 months ago, I would have said it's the way we do our business. It's our operations. It's our product. Because I came onto this brand being a brand advocate. I've been a brand advocate for Torchy's ever since they opened one in Southlake back in 2013. You mentioned the queso. The queso is unbelievable. We make all of our products in-house. We shuck our own corn for our street corn, which is, if you've ever been in restaurant operations, that's kind of insane. But we do it because it's the right way to do it. It gives us the freshest flavors, and everything is done, is handmade in store. But what I discovered when I came on board, because I came on board March 18th, and it was the weirdest time I think any of us have ever experienced. Everyone was freaked out.
Right.
We went from being a concept that was 67% dine-in to 100% carry out and delivery. we had to make those changes very quick. But we also had to make a lot of difficult decisions as far as our employees, as far as staffing, as far as how we were going to go going forward. And there was a big group call the next Monday where they had to announce furloughs because a lot of our frontline employees had to be furloughed. And the thing that shone through from our leadership team and in our culture was everyone was speaking honestly, but they were speaking with heart and with caring. And I think that shines through everything we do, every interaction we have with our employees, every interaction we have with our customers. And that's going to continue. And that's one of the reasons why I think we are going to do very well in the long run, is because we really care about our people. We care about our customers, and it's not lip service. And I think that's very, very important.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you go into Torchy's, you might not necessarily recognize it as that, but there's definitely an energy about a Torchy's when you're in there, and I assume that's coming from the top down through your staff. And so, kudos to you
100%.
because that's I recognize what you're saying through the store experience. So very interesting. So you guys, we're getting close. We've got only 5 minutes left. And so I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys each a question from the audience. And let's see, I will start with Mark. We have a guest. They'd like to know if any of your other services have experienced an increase or decrease in business since COVID. So I don't know what your primary, where you see the most sales in your business, but have you seen that shift at all?
Well, that's a really great question. Can I tell a little story?
Of course.
So I was speaking with a franchisee the other day about their lease, and she said, I'm really busy. We're doing a lot of notaries today. And I said, you are? She said, yeah, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. And she says, I've done 14 notaries already. And I said, why is that? She said, well, all the attorneys' offices are closed. I said, that's amazing. She said, yeah, one family came in with their entire family, and we did, I think it was 10 will notaries all at once. So, so that kind of speaks to the breadth of what we offer, whether it's people are still faxing stuff. The mailboxes have increased as well as part of the reverse flood logistics. A lot of our print services are now available to people in a different location they might not be used to because they're now working from home. So we're kind of filling in the scan and copy service there. We're making a lot of signs for people. So we have actually increased a lot of different of our offerings in a lot of different things, as well as the reverse logistics you've talked about already.
That's interesting because I would think that after quote unquote normal comes back, if and when that happens, that now that they've been exposed to that more, that they might just stick with you.
Probably yeah, I mean, we're always working on our brand loyalty and increasing our customer base. A lot of our customers will come in and they'll be exposed to seeing something they didn't know we had. So we're very proud of that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's interesting how things have shifted, and if you have other services, how some of those things that you maybe, I would imagine you had occasional notaries, but not nearly the volume you have now, and it's fascinating to watch all of this and how it's shifted everybody's behaviors and how businesses have responded. Is very fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah, we're kind of backfilling. I want to figure out how to get both soap and tacos sent to us.
Right. I mean, I say every week, if only, our guests could give me samples on this, that would be really great. But alas. So Deshon, I'm going to jump back to you. I've got a question for you. I actually have my own question, which is kind of cheating the audience. I guess I should ask Shelly's question. Shelly wants to know, what are the top 3 strategies you have in your stores to make your customers feel safe during COVID?
Well, that's also predicated on the localities and what they're mandating that we do. But we're in the hygiene business. So we've added the mask component as an added layer. We give our clients the option to wear a mask, but our employees are currently wearing masks. We've increased our actual cleaning of haptic. So anything we touch, meaning door handles, glass, anything of that nature. And we've also, made it user friendly for our both our employees and our clients that, our employees already, by the nature of the business, they wear gloves when they're mixing this material together. So in a lot of ways, our business and our industry, we're fortunate, was kind of set up by natural course to deal with this situation. And in terms of distance, we have drop bags with people's names on them with all their products. They can come and grab it and go as they please.
Gotcha. Thank you. I'm sure Shelley appreciates you answering her question and not mine. I'm going to call you after this so I can, we're running out of time. So Greg, we're going to come back to you. So you guys sell some of your products bottled. Is that right? You have like your hot sauces in?
We sell some of them in the stores, but it's not a major focus of our business.
That was the question. Is they were asking if you plan on expanding that line, or some businesses have figured out a way to drive those types of products to support sales when they can't be open. And so the question was, do you guys have plans to expand that line, or bulk up those sales or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. We have expanded our delivery offerings. So thankfully, we've been allowed to deliver margaritas. So margarita packs, family packs.
That blows my mind, by the way. I heard that and I was like, I'm surprised, but that's great. Again,
yeah,
you get to Florida.
It could be very dangerous in Florida.
Where I'm like, do they deliver to Florida? I wonder if Uber Eats will come that far. I don't know. It'd be worth it.
It'd be a big upcharge.
It would. Thank you. So you guys, I want to give each of you, is there anything that any of you would like to say that we haven't covered this morning? You're certainly welcome to raise your hand and say, I got one more thing to say. Anyone?
I would say that one thing I would like our viewers to understand is that we see ourselves as a community brand, not just a future national retailer. We invest locally and we partnership locally with shelters and with individuals. We employ locally, and we empower locals to join our business and grow within their communities.
Okay, thank you. That's good stuff. Greg or Mark, you got anything else to add? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. All right, everybody, that concludes this week's episode of Meet the Retailers. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and thank you to our guests. It was awesome to have you. If you enjoyed this episode, we hope you'll join us next week, always on Fridays, always at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also view all past episodes. They are recorded, and we post those to our YouTube channel, which is Retail Live. Please follow me on LinkedIn. We have a big announcement that's coming later today, and I would love to share that with you. So if you are not already connected with me, please make a connection. We'd love to share that with you. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you.
Thanks.